My name is Jessica Jackson, and I'm the Practitioner Partnership Director for the Learner Variability Project. I'm excited to share our free online tool with you today. It is all about taking the latest in learning sciences research and making it accessible for teachers like you so that you can really leverage this to improve your world language instruction. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. So as I mentioned, I work for the Learner Variability Project at Digital Promise. And Digital Promise has several different initiatives that are really designed to bring together educators, researchers, and EdTech developers to spur innovation and improve instruction for all learners. So just a quick overview of what I'll be covering today. First, I'm going to start by talking about what is learner variability and what we mean when we say that, how to use our navigator, and then we're going to take a deep dive into the factors and strategies that will support world language instruction. All right, so what is learner variability? Learner variability is this understanding that there is no such thing as an average learner. No one can be average in everything, right? We're all going to have strengths, weaknesses across many different factors, and those strengths and weaknesses can vary by context. We're all experiencing that firsthand as with the pandemic and virtual learning. Things that we may be good at in person may be more challenging virtually, and vice versa. Some things may be easier to do virtually. So the things that we are good at, our challenges and strengths, can vary by context. And that includes different content areas. Some students may have strengths that really help them in some content areas, but can be challenges for them in others. And so understanding the different strengths that a student has and how those can vary in different contexts is really important for meeting the needs of all learners. And so what our Learner Variability Navigator seeks to do is identify factors across a whole child framework. So when we say whole child, what we mean is factors across content, cognitive factors like long-term memory, social and emotional learning factors like motivation, and student background factors like safety, sleep, primary language. All of those things can impact a child's learning and can vary according to different contexts. And so let's jump into the navigator. So you can follow along with me if you want by going to lvp.digitalpromiseglobal.org. There's a QR code there that can also take you there if you're following me on a mobile device. I'm just going to switch over here and jump to the navigator. So our navigator has 6 different learner models that you can choose from. So we have 3 in math instruction and 3 in literacy instruction. As world language teachers, I would recommend probably starting with one of the literacy models that most closely matches the grades that you teach, probably our adolescent literacy model. And start by exploring some of the factors. Oops, I jumped into the wrong model there. So this is our factor map. And as I mentioned before, it is across a whole child framework, so you can see where we have the content factors, the cognition factors, the social and emotional factors, and the student background factors. Watch what happens as I hover over these factors. You can see how different ones light up. These are highlighting the factors that are connected. And this, I think, is one of the most powerful aspects of the navigator for teachers, is understanding how, if I'm planning a vocabulary lesson, I need to consider what are some other factors like background knowledge and working memory and safety and literacy environment, how all of those things can impact how a learner experiences that lesson. And to go even deeper, you can click on that factor and read about the research behind that factor. It gives you some more details about receptive vocabulary and expressive vocabulary, but it also gives a little more context for some of the ways that it's connected to other factors. So this is really important. And then if you keep scrolling, you can see research-based strategies that are shown to mitigate the negative impact of this factor. And so this is a great way to source strategies for specific factors that you want to address. And some of these strategies may be ones that you are familiar with, that you've used many times, and some of them may be new to you. So if you want to learn more about a strategy, you can click on it. These strategies are all also based on research, and you can see an overview here, which includes how to use it in the classroom and a video, as well as examples of EdTech products that use this. So this can also be a great way to source different products and tools that may be helpful. We also included some resources below that can help you in either going deeper into the research or implementing it in your classroom, and as well as other factors that this strategy supports. So just as a quick overview, you've got the factors again, and showing the connections there, which I think is really powerful, and then really identifying strategies that target specific factors. Now, as educators, I know it's rare that you're going to just be thinking about one factor at a time. You're probably trying to address multiple factors that can relate to a specific lesson, or multiple factors that you're seeing in a group of students. And so if you come to the strategies tab, you can pick several factors. And as you select different factors, you can see the strategies start to change a little bit, and it is sorting them into strategies that address all of the factors that I've selected. And so in this way, you can identify and narrow down to a select group of strategies that will really give you the most bang for your buck, so to speak, when it comes to supporting your students. So that's just a quick overview of the Navigator. And again, you can get there by going to lvp.digitalpromiseglobal.org. One of the things that can be overwhelming when you're trying to really address all the different learner variability that you see in your classroom is how to meet the needs of all, in hundreds of individual learners, right? And so this is where the principles of universal design for learning can really be helpful, because universal design for learning acknowledges, just like learner variability, that everyone is different and has unique needs. But there are some common patterns that exist within those variances. And so as long as we are presenting content in different ways and providing different opportunities for students to express their learning and engage in that learning, then we can be addressing a lot of different needs within a given lesson. And so I just wanted to keep in mind some of these principles as we go a little deeper into the factors and strategies that can support you in your world language class. So one of the things you can do with our Navigator is design a workspace. And this is where you select a specific group of factors and strategies that you want to explore for a given lesson or group of students. And so I've made one specifically for world languages just to show you, and you can go there and access it anytime by following this bit.ly link on the screen. I'm going to jump over to it now and dive into a little bit of the factors. So these are the learner factors that I selected that I think could really be helpful to kind of think about how they're connected and their impact on world language learning. So of course you have background knowledge. And when we look at this factor, we know that students build knowledge from their experiences both in and out of school, and their interactions with other cultures and languages, and their understanding of that is going to help them build a schema for understanding languages and cultures and things like that they're going to experience in your world language class. So understanding how students' background knowledge is going to impact that is really important. And again, what strategies can support developing background knowledge. Another factor that is really important for world language would be syntax. And so when we're talking about syntax, this is just understanding how sentences work, the word order, structure, and punctuation. And of course, we know this can be different in different world languages. And so how well a student understands the syntax in their primary language and their ability to kind of translate that understanding and be flexible in it and apply it to a new language is also going to be a critical piece of their learning. And so this is an interesting one to consider when you're looking at world languages. So a couple of others to think about. One would be metacognition. So this is one that I think is really important, and this is really thinking about how we think and learn. And so when we're learning a new language, the more we understand about how we learn our primary language and how we read and write in our primary language can help us translate some of those skills to a new world language. And so really understanding what metacognition is and how to bring it out in everyday reading and writing can really help students transfer that. And so this is one of my favorite factors to really dive into and think about how it impacts so much of learning experiences. And then also working memory. So this is one where it can really be impacted, right? So we want to transfer things from working memory to long-term memory, and understanding what some of the other factors are that can impact working memory can really help for students who may be struggling to kind of commit things into long-term memory. And so, for instance, stereotype threat is something that can really impact students' memory because a lot of their brain power is being used up on worrying and feeling the stress and anxiety of stereotype threat, and understanding how cognitive load impacts working memory when you're designing your lessons and thinking about tasks and thinking about, again, the students' prior experiences and background can all play into how well a student is able to understand your lesson and really internalize that information. So those are just a few of the factors that you can consider. And again, depending on your student, there may be other factors that you want to really look at and go deeper into. But these are just a few that I selected that I think could be powerful to go deeper into. So you can explore those. And then from these factors, I was able to select strategies that addressed all or some of the factors I've selected. And I grouped the factors in the workspace into two groups. The first group of strategies is around multimodal and vocabulary strategies. And so these strategies kind of speak to some of those universal design for learning principles around multiple means of engagement. So one of the things research shows us is that when you have multimodal instruction, you are really helping improve the likelihood of things moving from working memory to long-term memory. And so what does multimodal instruction mean? It's really using a variety of ways to engage students, so auditory, visual, kinesthetic, all of those things, but multiple formats really help students experience things and have the kind of experiences needed to commit things to long-term memory. So this is an important aspect of world language instruction. So a lot of the other strategies listed here kind of speak to this multimodal aspect and vocabulary building. So, you know, creating visuals and audiobooks can help with that. Word sorts can kind of fall into that kinesthetic category. And word walls is another one, is a great strategy to use when we're trying to build vocabulary. A couple of things to keep in mind when we're talking about word walls. It's important, whether you're creating the word wall from scratch or using, you know, pre-printed cards, that you really have a plan for interacting with that word wall, and that you teach your students how you want them to interact with that word wall, that you are pre-teaching the vocabulary and making it accessible to students. Another great trick can be color coding the word wall. So a lot of times word walls are used in primary grades to kind of you know, teach new vocabulary, and they're typically done in alphabetical order. But you can also group words by parts of speech or other things, which may be a useful tool in a world language class. And so in that instance, you may want to also think about color coding words to kind of help show the different categories that they're in. Also, one of the challenges that many people are having right now is how to translate things that they used to do in person instruction and how to make that go online. And so word walls is one of those things we typically think of as being in a classroom on a wall, but there are lots of tools you can use to kind of help this strategy go virtual, including something as simple as a Google slide and having you know, different words on different slides grouped there, along with like pictures and other visuals and links to different things. You can also use Padlet or Wakelet, are different tools where you can kind of organize visual displays to make word walls go virtual. So those are a couple of strategies in the multimodal and vocabulary strategies. Again, there's many more you can explore here. The other group is collaborative and metacognitive strategies. And so again, this is just kind of thinking about one of the trends we see in research for adolescent literacy, and all these strategies are in our adolescent literacy model, is that students at this age really learn a lot from engaging with their peers. And so the more you can design instructional opportunities that provide students the chance to collaborate with peers, it can really help. It also can provide some authentic audience and purpose, so authentic opportunities to really apply the language they're learning. And again, it gives them those multiple exposures and opportunities to use language to commit it, again, from working to long-term memory. So again, this can be kind of tricky if you're thinking about, this used to be something maybe they just turn and talked in the classroom to a peer, and how are they doing this now virtually? So of course, one of the strategies that I love in this model is text chats. And so this is something that you can bring to bear fairly easily. In a virtual world, there's lots of different chat features, whether we're talking about a Zoom chat or allowing kids to text and use their phones virtually. You know, all of those things can kind of recreate opportunities, authentic opportunities for kids to experience language. Acting and role play is another one. But another great one is annotating. And a tool that we were recently just talking about in another session that is great for annotating virtually is Kami. And you can use this tool to kind of annotate and this can help students really process their thinking and bring in some of those metacognitive strategies. So understanding as they're maybe translating a piece and kind of circling things and annotating and highlighting important parts, or translating some of the words to the side, that can be a really important strategy. So another great virtual tool that can help bring some collaboration and discussion in the classroom is Flipgrid. And so this is a tool where the kids can kind of make videos and they can respond to each other. And so you can put a verbal prompt out there and allow kids to kind of video back using different, language opportunities. So those are just a few of the different resources and tools that you can use to kind of take some of these strategies virtual. But again, you can explore these strategies and learn about other tools that use the strategies in action, and find resources for supporting implementation of these tools. So this can all be found in the workspace. But like I said, anyone can create their own workspace. And so I wanted to take a minute to show you how you can do that yourself. So if you're in the Navigator, again, we're at lvp.digitalpromiseglobal.org. You can go to Explorers and go to Learning Needs Explorer. Again, pick, whatever model you choose. And it's going to start by showing you this factor map. And here you can pick the buttons that relate to the factors you're most interested in. So I'm just going to pick a few, go to next. So now it's going to show me some of the factors that are connected to the ones I picked. And you can choose to add some of these factors or not, it's up to you. And now it's going to show me strategies. So the first group are strategies that support or improve all of the factors that I selected. And then the second group is strategies that improve some of the factors that I selected. So again, if you're really trying to target, maybe a specific group of students, or you've got a specific lesson that you really want to make sure you hit certain factors and connected factors, this can be a great tool for really identifying what are some of the best strategies to support this. So checklists, collaborative writing, feedback on writing, peer feedback, that can be great. Acting and role play. So I'm just going to pick a few. Then we're going to go to Explore Selections in Workspace. And now you can see kind of like the workspace I created. I have all my factor cards here and all my strategy cards here. And you can, move these around and kind of organize them into sections, group them together however you see fit. You can make little annotations about why you picked this factor and why you think it's important. You can add notes here. You can, relabel this. Here, so if you want to kind of create different workspaces for different periods or different groups, you can kind of label them to keep track. And you can also share this workspace. So if you're collaborating with colleagues on your team, maybe you're collaborating with English language arts teachers or social studies teachers for a thematic unit across disciplines, this can be a great way to kind of say, like, okay, what are some consistent strategies we're going to use across content areas to really build kids' skills, and then that will help them transfer that knowledge into your class. Because remember, with metacognition, the more they use some of these strategies in other classes and are aware of these strategies, the more they can apply them in your class. So it's great to kind of create these and share these. Similarly, we've worked with a lot of different teachers and organizations to design workspaces that we can share with you. And so if you go to our initiative page that's outside of the Navigator, I'll share the link with you. for this, you can see workspaces designed by educators and other groups. So this first group are workspaces designed by educators. And a lot of these include other things like, in this workspace that Rachel from our Practitioner Advisory Board created, she was really focused on how to support SEL in a remote classroom. And so her workspace includes a Padlet that has all the resources she used aligned to the different factors and strategies that she really focused on to support her kids remotely. And just a note, not all of these strategies are technology-based. She really used low-tech and high-tech strategies. We also have workspaces for complex learners. So these workspaces were designed by special educators and researchers who are experts in specific areas. And so they really group strategies and factors related to specific disabilities. We also have workspaces that have been used in professional learning. So one that's really big right now is just thinking about student engagement and the different areas of student engagement and how you might want to address those and how to do that virtually. And so this workspace is designed for that. And if my tutorial on how to make a workspace was too fast for you, there is also a link here for how to make a workspace, and it kind of walks you through those steps. And so, I highly recommend making a workspace, sharing it with your colleagues, or using one of our existing workspaces. And as I mentioned, the one that I created for you is available here at this bit.ly. So I walked you through some of the tools we have for educators already. We do also have micro-credentials available if that's something that your school uses for PD and you're interested in going deeper in learner variability micro-credentials and kind of becoming an expert in certain aspects like self-regulation, then please check them out. And we do partner with schools and provide more training on how to use the Navigator to support multi-tiered support systems in your school, professional development, social and emotional learning, student engagement. So if this is something that you think your school could use and you want to go deeper, please let me know. You can reach out to me. My email is jjackson@digitalpromise.org, and you can also find me on Twitter at educationjess. And I would love to hear from you. If you are trying to make workspaces and need some help, you can also email me. I'm happy to just hop on a quick call or send you some tips via email. And I hope that you will use our Navigator and find it useful. I am excited for the opportunity to present to you today, and thank you so much for listening to this presentation.